Todd, what is going on in the market?
Well, there are a few things happening. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Market housing statistics for the week ending August 15th and the week prior. Let's see what we've got. 40 days closed on market. This is not a mistake. 7.41 months supply, but I'll explain why. 13.5% absorption rate. Our average list price is $693. Our average sale price is $565,000, and our list price to sale price, ring the bells, 97.48%. Taking a look at inventory, we have 19,471 properties available. Again, another increase, steadily increasing. Pending is sitting at 3,783, and closed units for the month at 1,187. Taking a look at new listings this past week, this wasn't so good. We only took 1,752 listings. Our days on market is sitting for active inventory at 70.8 days, and for closed, as earlier reported, 40 days on market. Taking a look at the price ranges, under $500,000 is continuing to grow. Now has eclipsed that 50% mark. We're at 51.51. The $500,000 to $1 million price range is where that's coming from. That's actually shrinking. We're down to, if you could recall, not too long ago, those were almost 50-50. So now we're down to 37.68 in that price range, up to $1 million, and then $1 million and over is at the very steady. However, I'm not sure exactly which category, whether it's the 1.5 to 2 or the $5 to $10 million categories, but something's happening a little quicker there. We've moved from 90 days to 85 days on market. So spreadsheet wise, looking across the board, we had 1,752 listings taken this past week. That was in comparison to 2,423 the week before. A year ago, we were at 2,300. So this is low for, based on a year ago. And then back in 2019, we only took 1,885. So, and that was a banner year. So that was one of our first blast off years over the last 5 years. And so as a result, I'd say 1752. Yeah, it's low. As long as we're somewhere in that 18 to 2,300 range, whenever you're looking at those other two numbers, if we can be in that range, if not better, that's kind of what I look for. So if you're trying to explain this to someone else, that would be what I would look for. Looking at 19,471 new total list active listings, and again, that's up another couple of hundred. 726 is where we lost ground, and coming soon. We have 15,000, 16,000 that are single family detached. The real reason for the increase in inventory this week is not because we did a good job taking listings, as I prior told you. It's because the builder inventory went from 2016 to 2222 in the MLS. So consequently, what's going on with the builders? They need to get rid of their stuff. So guess what? They need you.
And they're calling me and texting me.
And they're offering some super incentives as well.
New best friends.
19,423 non-distressed properties in the marketplace. And, I heard this a couple of weeks ago again, and then last week I heard again that somebody's saying there's a big shift in the market, and more distressed properties are coming onto the market. So I've been doing some deep digging, but let's just say it's not happening. Going to pending units, we're sitting at 3,700. This is a green ticker this week because we're up higher than we were the week before at 3,581. Sliding your eyes to the right, you can see 5,000 is pretty much the range over the last 3 to 4 years in this same week over week perspective. But again, we need to get over 5,000 people under contract to really balance out the marketplace. 1,187 is where we're sitting at for closed inventory compared to 1,861 a year ago. So again, we're not too far off the pace from that perspective. And again, closing wise, almost no foreclosures. So 7.41, I'm going to tell you just in a second, but this is an anomaly basically because in the past week, we only took 1,752 and MLS reported 1,187 closed properties. So when you're bringing in 1,700 and you're closing 1,200, and then you take a look at the number of people in the market, at the total volume of inventory that we have, you do the simple math, you divide them into each other, and it tells you what what your month's supply is. That's the reason it's 7.4. I'm anticipating it's still somewhere right in that 4%, 4-month supply area. But again, so don't get over crazy by looking at that 7.41. But certainly anything over 3, you're definitely now in a buyer's market. I know that typically we talk about it being higher month supply, but to the point, what's really the no man's land? So if a neutral market is 3 to 4 months, what does that mean? So either the sellers are benefiting or the buyers are benefiting. So the sellers have been benefiting, now the buyers are. So it's a great time to look at purchasing a property. And again, primarily because when we look down and get down to the very, very nuts and bolts, the list price to sale price retention is the indicator. When this goes above 97.8%, well, then typically we're in more of a seller's market. When it goes when it's right at 97.8 or even a little bit lower, we're definitely in a buyer's market. Well, look at what the number is. 97.48, 97.8 is the sweet spot. So this was a pretty big drop. So I want to show you where that drop took place. When you're looking, this is a week over week comparison, not month over month or year over year. So if you just look at sold, and then the one behind it, list sold, just means during this past week, how many properties were listed and then sold right away? Well, 102 of them were. How many properties were sold? 1,187. Okay, well, slide rise way over the right-hand side, and you'll see the average sold price. You'll see the sale price to list price, which is what we report. That's usually 97.8. It's reporting 97.48 today. But the original list price, this is something we don't talk about. I've mentioned it a few times, but the reason is because when the seller first listed it, where was their price? Was this one of those scenarios where you couldn't get the listing unless you took it at a price well over what you thought the property was worth, and then there was a settling? I think that's what's happening, and that's what this is reporting right now, that we're in that point where people listed their properties when the market was still good, and they're stagnant, they're not moving. And when they are moving, they throw out this really low list price to sale price retention number. Look at that, 92.82%. You're talking about the average seller taking an 8%, almost a 10, let's just call it 10, a 10% drop in price to move their property today. That's not really happening. So what's really happening is the fact that, we're just sitting here. We sold a ton of property really, really quick. And that property was the older property. When you look at new listed and sold, that should actually not be as dramatic a drop as the sold, because sold it was already sold. I mean, it was already listed at the time it sold well in advance. And then the list is sold is obviously what it means. So it's just one of those things. I wanted to show you where the number came from, so that if somebody says, Todd, his numbers were way off this week, I wanted to show you exactly where that took place and why that happened. So I know I'm running out of time, but I just want to run off a couple of things. So here's what's going on right now, and it just came out, reported for the Arizona economy. Arizona ranks number 1 for economic performance. I'm talking about today. Look in the mirror. Blink at yourself so you're not dreaming or that it's not a video. Yeah, this is true. Arizona ranks number 1, and it's got the best forecast in the nation for the next 5 years. So if you're talking about where do you want to relocate to because Arizona is not the place, and let me tell you again, Arizona is going to be the place because it's going to be the best economy in the country for the next 5 years. Population, we're number 4 in the boom. It's currently waning, but again, expect additional growth. What does that mean? Well, in 2021, we grew 109,000 people. In 2022, we grew 16,000. And in 2023, we're expecting to have 121. That's 5,000 more people than we had this year. So it's not going to really wane. It's just that it's cooling off right now. Kids are back in school. People are, and I would anticipate that's one of those reasons. Wage increase. Arizona tops the nation in wage increases, 6.4% over the past month. However, over the past quarter, the second quarter. However, we're obviously not keeping up with inflation. So if inflation's at 8% or 11%, whatever you want to believe, and 6.4 is where our average income here in Arizona has grown over the past quarter, then basically we're still 5% behind the market, and that's part of the problem. Job growth is also good. Job growth is 4.2%. We're right in the middle of all the states in the union. There are some states that are outperforming us job growth wise, but just look at the corridors and you'll see that we have tons of things happening. Unemployment in the state of Arizona, 3.3%. It's at an all-time low. It is never in the history of recordation, which I believe started in like 1954. Of all times of reporting and recording, it's never been 3.3 or lower. Inflation, yeah, food's gone up 10%, energy up 4%, gasoline made 11% of that. Gas just came down. I'm sure you're all smiling at that. I got $3.48 at Costco on Friday. Remaining items for food and energy are increasing as well. Bank filings, well, are people really getting pinched to the point where they're not able to pay their bills and they're worried about losing their homes? That's not happening. Again, that's down 15.6% in the state of Arizona. Metro Phoenix matches that number. Real estate's the best it's ever been. That is actually true. The housing rises in 11.7% higher than average means, yeah, it's good. But it's tougher to own a home by 12% of your income than it was, and then finishing up with this. The second quarter was a 0.9% contraction. So the first quarter in the United States, now this is not Phoenix, was 1.6 in the United States, and then the second quarter came at 0.9. You probably see a lot of politicians and a lot of people trying to tell you that the recession is basically almost over because we've contracted that, we've reduced that number from 1.6 to 0.9, but that's not really not the case. And we are technically in a recession because 2 quarters in a row of contractions basically means that. But look in the middle, is there too much sensationalism? The answer is yes. Banks are full. Bank accounts are full, as there's a lot of pent-up savings. People are spending on consumer goods. You never drive by a mall or a shopping center or a restaurant and see an empty parking lot. Travel, that's an indication. And by the way, traveling, there's 17 million people traveling right now versus 2.5 million in 2020. You can say, oh, well, yeah, that was right after or during COVID. But again, it's back. It's, as you can see, it's 15 million more. And again, this is part of the things that you kind of have to look at when you're going through all these different things, because if you're not paying attention to why the numbers are the way the numbers are, you're probably going to be given the wrong information. So,
all right.